Hey everybody, let's make some Irish stew or good old-fashioned beef stew, whichever way you want to look at it. Alright, we're going to start off melting 3 pats of butter in a pan. We've got 2 pounds of chopped up sirloin here. I basically took some top sirloin, chopped it down into cubes. We've got 2 cloves of garlic, 2 cups of beef broth, and some red onion in the container. And move the stew meat into the pan. We're going to hit this with about a teaspoon of salt and half a teaspoon of black pepper. And chop up the cloves of garlic and throw those in too. Now, turn your crock pot on to high and get that starting to warm. And start browning the meat. And we're going to cook this all down until it's all pretty much browned. Then we're going to add the broth and the onion and put them into the crock pot. And get the chopped garlic in. Add 3 teaspoons of soy sauce. Add a 1/4 cup of diced red onion. This is going to help to flavor the broth and impart a little extra flavor into the meat. Now we add the broth. We're going to bring this up to a simmer, then we're going to move this into the crock pot. Okay, we put a little bit of the broth in the bottom and some onions. And now we're going to move the meat into the crock pot also. Alright, get the meat and the broth into the crock pot. We're going to close this up and cook it on high for about 2 hours. Alright, 2 hours is up. Now we're going to take some thick cut coins of carrot and put those in with the beef. And stir those in with the beef. And some 1/2 inch pieces of celery. We used 4 stalks here. And into the pool they go. Now, while the crock pot's coming back up to heat with the new veg in there, we're going to clean up about 1.5 pounds of fresh green beans. And then we're going to halve them and throw them all in with the rest in the crock pot. Once the green beans are all cleaned, we're going to cut them in half and make them just a little more bite friendly. Okay, once you have your cut green beans, we're going to throw these into the crock pot with everything else. Get it stirred up, and then we're going to start cleaning some potatoes. Now get these up to heat, and then we're going to do the potatoes. Alright, we got 1 red potato left over from clam chowder and 3 yellow fins, sometimes grown as Yukon Golds. And we're going to cut these up into chunks and throw them in with the rest of the stuff in the crock pot to finish off the beef stew. And take your chunked up potatoes, I cut these into about 1-inch pieces, and throw them into the crock pot with everything else. They should cook for about an hour and be ready to go. Always a good pot of stew when you got the potatoes in. Alright, we're going to strain most of the juice out of the stew, and we're going to turn the juice into a gravy. Now we're going to make a slurry with cornstarch and water. We're using about 1/2 cup of water and about 2.5 tablespoons of cornstarch. Now I threw a jar of sliced mushrooms in here just out of convenience. And then we're going to turn this into the gravy to pour back over the stew. And that's our slurry. We're going to use about half of it to start and then continue adding it until we get the thickness we want for the gravy. Let it just come up to a boil and you can see how it thickens. Then turn off the heat and keep stirring. And that's the stew with gravy added. Make up a plate and enjoy.